Hello everyone, welcome to True Mother's Tears. My name is Zainab Mahmoud. I'm a grief loss and a parenting coach. If you're new to this channel, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell on notification to be notified whenever there is a new video, which is always on every Friday. And if you've been with me from the onset, thank you so very much. Thank you for hanging in there. Happy new month, everyone. Eid Mubarak, and I wish us all every good thing that this month has to bring. I pray for positive surprises for everybody and for myself. Thank you. Today I'm going to tell us a story. Something happened recently and I feel like I connected it with something that I knew of or something that happened in the past, and I feel like it's something I want to share with people out there because most people are not aware that this happens, and I just feel like since I know of it, I know some people out there will know, but there's still so many people that are not aware of it, so I feel like I should share the story with us. Somebody got across to me a few days back telling me about her younger sister. It's actually a friend. She told me about her younger sister that lost two babies within the space of 2 years, and for a while now they noticed she's not been herself, she's not been sleeping well, she lost her appetite, and so many other things. So she wanted me to guide her on how to help her sister to come out of her present predicament. And then it got me thinking about something that happened exactly 10 years ago. So here it goes. There is a woman that used to live opposite my house. Anytime I come out of my gate, I sight her shop. She had a small kiosk, and then her husband was the security man of the house where they were living. So I always used to see the woman from constant seeing each other. We started greeting, and then she used to make my hair. So from there, I noticed she has two little kids, a little boy and a little girl, and I got very friendly with them. And then I went to have my baby. I stayed for so before I had my baby, when I go to meet her, she'll tell me she's unwell. And for a very long time, I noticed she was unwell. I didn't know that, it didn't occur to me that she could be pregnant, but apparently she was pregnant and I didn't know. So then I went to have my baby. I stayed for 5 months. So by the time I came back and she came to say hello, she was heavily pregnant. So I was like, oh wow, that means all the while that she was sick, she was pregnant, but I didn't notice. So she came to say hello, and then when she was leaving, my mom was around when she came, and then when she was leaving, I remember she gave me some money. It's actually a tradition here in Nigeria to, when you go visit someone that just had a baby, you either go with a present to give to either the baby or the mom or both of them, but in most cases people always give something when somebody just has a baby. So, and then this woman gave me some money, and my mom was like, wow, for someone that has so little, she could still squeeze herself to give you something. In fact, I think I remember refusing to collect it, but she insisted. So I collected it and I expressed my gratitude. Fast forward to months after, I saw her daughter and I asked about the mom, and then she told me that her mom had given birth and that the babies had died. And I was like, so your mom had twins? She said yes. So I inquired about the mom's whereabouts. She said the mother had been taken to the hospital. I asked about the dad. She said the dad was at home. So I went to the house to meet the father. I inquired about what happened. That was when he was telling me that apparently the wife didn't know she was carrying twins. She never did any scan during the pregnancy. And then she had the baby 2 days before she had the baby. She noticed very weak fetal movement, which she complained about. So it must have been that she lost one of the babies when on that day, and then 2 days after she had both babies. She had the first one, came out dead, and you could see sign of, let me not talk about that. And then she had the second baby came out. The first baby was a boy, the second baby was a girl. She came out alive, she cried for a while, and then she also died. So they had two different placentas. The first one came out, the second one didn't come out, and that was when the bleeding started. So they rushed her to a teaching hospital here in Lagos. And you know how it is when you bring in a case that is almost at the end. You know what I mean by that? To them at the teaching hospital, they will give it to you. They were very upset. They initially refused to admit her, but after much pleading, they agreed to, and they treated her till the placenta came out, and then they gave her other treatment. But they were not nice to her, according to the lady. She said they were very angry with her, and they kept on, they kept on and on and on about it. And even when she requests for water, they just pass her, they don't answer her, because they were like, where were you all this while? And then because of that, she requested to be discharged. And then I think she was better, so they discharged her. She came home, and I kept asking of her. So when the daughter told me she was back home, I came to check on her, but I noticed she was still not well, although she was better than how they said she was when they first took her. So, but she was still not well. She told me she was not able to sleep, she was not able to lie down well, her breath was seizing. So I told the husband to please take her to another hospital this time around, since she was refusing. I even insisted on her going back to the teaching hospital, that I was going to follow her to speak with those nurses, and she said she would never, nothing will ever take her there. So that you still need medical care. So I told the husband to take her to another hospital, which was maybe not far from the house, so that the kids can easily go check on her. So the husband did that, and they treated her. She was on admission for like, I think 3-4 days, and then they also discharged her. She came back home. She was better than how she was the first time, but she wasn't still herself. So it continued like that till I think she was in that condition for like 2 weeks, and then they had to change their location, their residence. So they moved to another place, and which wasn't far from where we were. So I still used to go to check on her. And then on this particular day, I went to see her. She had lost so much weight. She told me that since she gave birth, she's not been able to sleep, that anytime she lies down, her breath is as if her breath is going to cease. So she'll quickly get up, and then she'll have to be there sitting up, and she can't sleep. She can't even close her eyes. So for like those 2 weeks, she's been in that state, and then she was losing so much weight. You could see that this woman was dying, but I didn't know what to do, because they just left her, and people came checking on her, or all her family members. They're from the Kanuri tribe. So, and many of the family and friends came visiting, and then everybody, it was like they were just watching her dying away. So I left, and I think I went to see my mom, and my mom asked of her. So I told my mom what's her present situation, and my mom was like, are you people going to watch this woman die? Are you going to wait till she dies, and then you now be like, oh, she was such a nice person, oh, she was so sick, oh, then you start talking about her. Now she's alive, you can see that she's very sick. Why don't you just do what you can? All of you should gather and help her in any way you can. Just make sure this woman doesn't die. So, and I took it upon myself to help her, get back her health. I spoke to some friends, I spoke to my husband, I spoke to some friends, I gathered some money. I actually met someone that told me that there is a particular hospital that he uses, which was in another state, that I could use the hospital on his account, that he didn't have any financial strength to give to me, to help, to back me up in what I was embarking on, but that he could talk to the hospital, and they will allow me, they will treat her on his behalf. But he still gave the little he could. So I went to meet the woman, and then along with her husband, I took her to the hospital. And when we got there, after she explained her current state to the doctor first said we should go and do a scan. And then we went to do the scan. I remember after we did the scan, the people at the lab were complaining. They were saying so many things. They were angry at the lady that she didn't stay well for the scan. The woman was very weak, so she couldn't stand. So I asked them if we needed to do another scan. They were like, no, just go with him. But so I left them. Then we got to the hospital and gave the doctor the report, and the doctor looked at it. Immediately was like, wow, he just like, madam, remove your cloth, remove your cloth. And then the woman removed her cloth. That was when I discovered, you know, I had actually thought she was big because her stomach was still big, but it turned out that she had lost so much weight. It was just the stomach that was big. She had lost, I don't know how to describe it. You know, the moment she removed her clothes, I just started crying because, and I was also grateful to God that I took that step when I did, though I wished I had earlier, but thank God I still took a step. You know, you could see that this woman was suffering. That was when I knew what she was going through. And then the doctor was like, madam, you can't sleep, you can't breathe well, you can't. The doctor was just telling her what she was feeling. And then he was like, and I was like, doctor, what happened? What's the problem? Like, her heart is enlarged. Her heart is enlarged. And I said, oh, what are we going to do? Is she going to be all right? The doctor says she'll be fine, but it depends on how well she responds to treatment. We're going to start treatment immediately. So immediately they placed her on admission, they started treatment, they started giving her different drugs immediately. And I was so grateful to God that I had gotten all the support I needed, because finance was not a problem. I was able to do so many things for her. And then I paid for 10 days admission, and then her husband was with her, so I bought everything they needed. Then I left to go home. So after like a week, I went back to check on her, and when I got to the hospital, I was so happy. She jumped off the bed and ran to me, she hugged me, and then we both started crying because I hadn't seen her in that state for like, I think before she got pregnant. That was when she was in that kind of sound health. You know, so I was so happy for her, and then both started crying, and she told me how she was feeling, that for like 3 days now she's been able to sleep well, she's breathing well. You know, there was so much improvement, and we're both happy. So I inquired if she was still going to be on admission for more days, and then when the doctor told me, replied that, you know, in affirmative. So I paid for more days, paid for other things that she needed, and left again. So she was in the hospital for like 2 weeks, and you know, now she was fine, she's gotten back her health. Then another problem happened. She started having mental issues. She totally lost connection with reality. It turned out that this woman was suffering from what is called postpartum psychosis, a condition where someone lost contact with reality after having a baby. It usually happens to 1 out of 500 women. And in this situation, not only it happens to women that give birth and still have their baby in their arms, and you can imagine what it will be when you are prone to that kind of condition, and now again you don't even have the babies, not a baby, to show for it. So it was when she had those babies and lost them because of her health condition. She wasn't in that state of mind to mourn them. Now that she's gotten herself back, she was in that state to now her health is back, so she could now, the reality of what just happened to her now done, and you know, the trauma just made her to lose contact with reality. So it was so bad, she started removing her drip, she started getting violent, and then the husband wanted her out of the hospital. Said he was going to seek for traditional treatment, and I refused. I totally refused. That was what made me to go speak with the doctors. And the doctor said, yes, it's a condition that happened, but it wasn't very alarming. They were totally able to control it. And if it gets so bad, they have a psychiatric ward. They will refer her there, and she'll get the adequate treatment she needed there. So they told me to still leave her. They were in control of whatever she was bringing up. So I told the husband to let her be. After a while, the husband came again and said she was getting too violent. She couldn't recognize him. She was this, she was that he wanted her out of the hospital, and that he's spoken with family members. They've come up with an agreement that she be taken out of the hospital and taken to their village for a better traditional treatment. So she told me that she had spoken to the doctor, but the doctor said they weren't going to just let him have her because he wasn't the one that brought her on admission. They were only going to release her with my own with me agreeing to it. So, and the husband said this is what he wants to do. This was now a family thing. There was a limit to how deep I can come. So I told him that I've agreed that he should go. He said no, they needed a written statement from me. So I said, even if I write something, I wasn't going to sign it. He said it was fine, that I should just write it for him because he can't read or write. He will sign it. I said, okay. So I wrote it that I wanted the woman discharged, blah, 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 blah. He told me what he wanted on the paper, and I wrote everything. I gave it to him, and he signed it and left. And then he got the woman discharged and took her to their village. I still didn't let it end there. I followed it up. I inquired about her from the kids and from other of their family members that I knew, and they told me the situation got worse, but they kept treating it that eventually she got back herself. To cut the long story short, she later became well after like months of severe treatment, but she later got back herself, and I heard she was fine. I heard she had another baby. I don't remember the story. So what I'm trying to highlight from this story that I just talked about is that postpartum psychosis is a condition that is real. Though it rarely happens to women, but it happens. Even if it's just 1% happens to, it has happened. It's something that can happen. So like in this case where the man was telling me that the woman is mad, he confirmed that she has turned a mad woman and didn't allow her pass through the normal medical treatment, because as far as it was concerned, there was nothing that has to be done. She just has to face the treatment that is the traditional treatment that is given to mad people, according to him. It's not a confirmed case where you can say somebody is mad. It's just for a time, someone loses reality for a time because of what happened to the person. So if you allow the person to go through the proper medical channel, the person would definitely come out of it. So if this woman, I know that she came out of it eventually, but if she was allowed to stay in the hospital and allow the doctors treat her the way they had intended to, she would have come out of it earlier and less stressful. So that brings me to the case of this present woman. So this woman now is, I wouldn't say she's facing the same thing in that grade, but she's facing something similar because she also lost 2 kids and she was also sick. But before her family noticed that something was wrong, or some things were getting wrong with her, although she didn't admit it, but they knew that she wasn't normal. That was why they decided to seek medical attention. They took her to the hospital and they ran some tests on her and found that she was having malaria and typhoid, and they treated her for it. But from what they noticed, it was more of an emotional problem than a proper medical problem, So first thing I told the sister was, take her away from the environment she's presently in. She was in that house when she lost her first baby. She's still in the house. She lost her second baby and she's still there. So just take her away from that environment for a while. Her other kids are there. Their dad will be with them. Your mom can even go stay with them for the period she's going to be away. But the first thing is she has to be taken out of that environment and then, do a lot of things to distract her. So unfortunately, if it was in the developed countries, we know getting somewhere to, catch phone wouldn't be far-fetched. But here, the situation of things. Even if you want to go somewhere, you have to be sure your pocket is ready to carry that. So you have to try to do within the limit you can. So I told her it's going to be a lot, but first thing is take her away from that environment and try to distract her as much as possible. Let people come over, family and friends, people she hasn't seen. Try to reach out to so many people to come to check on her, then take her out more often. If there's an event, if there's a gathering somewhere, just something to spice up her life for the period you're trying to work on her to get back her usual self. So it's going to be a lot, but eventually I'm sure she's going to be fine. But before then, a lot has to be done. All hands have to be on deck to help her get back herself, because when you recognize that there's a problem, that's when they say that the solution won't be far-fetched. So for now, since the family, because it was actually the husband that cried out that she's not her usual self, he's losing his wife, even though she's in the same house with him. The sister, constant talking with her, also noticed some things, and then they decided to act. So it's good. That's why I decided to bring this up, because we've had, since it's said that it's something that happens to, even if it's one woman, in case you meet that kind of person. Because the case I just told us about now happened 10 years ago. At that time, I knew nothing about postpartum psychosis. I just knew that there was a problem and I had to help, and I helped. But today I know better, and I know that in that kind of situation, this and this and this is what you can do to help. So I'm saying it for those of us that do not know about that condition. When you see that someone is showing this kind of symptoms, losing contact with reality, doesn't mean that the person is mad or something close to that. It could just be the trauma, of the effect of the traumatic experience the person has just been through. So what you need to do is just be there, find out in every way where you can help the person, and don't hesitate to, because this person needs all the emotional support, all the physical support, or everything, all the support the person can get to get back herself. So don't hesitate to, until the person is able to bounce back. So I think we've all learned from the story, and we're going to be treating more on similar things this month. So please, I hope you'll still be here with us. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell on notification. Please give me a thumbs up. And then, till we meet next time, have a lovely day. Bye.